There's a tiredness that no sleep can heal. It's not in your muscles, your bones, or your blood. It's somewhere deeper, behind your eyes, beneath your ribs, in that invisible space where your hopes used to live. It doesn't scream. It just lingers. Quiet, familiar, heavy like fog. And this tiredness isn't just physical exhaustion. It's emotional erosion. It's the slow drainage of meaning from everything you once cared about. You wake up already defeated. You move through your day like you're underwater. You answer texts with less enthusiasm. You stop replying altogether, not because you don't care, but because everything feels too loud, too fast, too demanding. Even joy feels like a job now. Even rest feels like preparation for another invisible war. No one sees this part of you. Not the part that keeps showing up, that puts on clothes, smiles in meetings, makes small talk at family dinners. They see functioning. You feel fading. You've become an expert at looking fine, while quietly breaking down between silences. And you've told yourself this is just adulthood, just how life works. But no, this is not normal. This is emotional fatigue. And it's not your fault. It's what happens when your life becomes a checklist. When your days become survival instead of expression. When every I should drowns out every I want. You are tired because you have not lived, only coped. You've put everyone else's needs before your own for so long that your inner self stopped knocking. It started whispering, and now it barely speaks at all. You've been tired because your soul is starved. You weren't made to live in survival mode forever. You weren't born to only meet expectations. You were made to feel, to rest, to dream. And when those parts of you go unfed, they collapse. That's what you're feeling. Not laziness, not weakness. But the collapse of all the parts of you that needed kindness and got pressure instead. You are always tired, because your life has not allowed you to be fully alive. You tried to keep going. You tried to stay strong, to push through, to tell yourself that others have it worse, so you should just be grateful and move on. But pain does not disappear when you minimize it. It hides, and it grows in the quiet. It builds walls around your joy until everything begins to feel like a performance you no longer believe in. You are not weak because you're tired. You are not broken because you want to stay in bed all day. Your body is speaking for you now, saying what your voice couldn't. It's asking for pause, for presence, for peace. But the world doesn't make space for that. It teaches you to ignore the signs, to numb, to scroll, to shop, to eat, to drink, to avoid. And yet every night, it returns. The heaviness, the questions, the ache. You wonder when you lost your spark. But the truth is, you didn't lose it. It was drained by people who expected too much, by routines that demanded your soul and gave nothing in return, by dreams you postponed, by boundaries you never learned to set, by the thousand small betrayals of saying yes when your whole being was screaming no. You've been tired because you've been too good at surviving, too good at pushing past yourself. Too good at hiding pain behind productivity. And now, your system is shutting down, not because it's malfunctioning, but because it's finally telling the truth. The exhaustion is the honesty. It's your soul whispering, I can't keep doing this. And maybe you're listening now. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe something inside you, something buried beneath the noise, brought you to this exact moment, not for motivation, not for answers, but for silence, for a reminder. For the slow permission to stop pretending and start breathing again. You don't need to fix your life overnight. You don't need a 5-step plan, a morning routine, or a productivity hack. What you need is a safe pause. A quiet corner inside yourself where you can admit without shame that you're tired, that you're lost, that you don't want to keep chasing a version of life that never asked who you truly are. Because this tiredness is not just from doing too much. It's from feeling too little, from being disconnected from your essence for too long, from ignoring the voice that used to tell you what you loved, what lit you up, what mattered before the world told you to be realistic. You are not here to be efficient. You are not here to constantly improve. You are here to exist. And that is enough. The body keeps the score. The heart keeps the grief. And the mind keeps spinning, looking for answers in the noise. But the soul just waits. It waits for you to remember who you are beneath the exhaustion, beneath the performance, beneath the layers of roles and expectations and schedules. And when you finally sit still, truly still, the truth arrives like a whisper you almost forgot how to hear. You miss yourself. Not the version the world admires, not the mask you wear at work, not the polite smile you show in conversations. You miss you, the child who dreamed freely, the teenager who felt deeply. The quiet part of you that believed life could be more than endurance. You've been tired because you've been missing home, and home was never a place. It was always your own presence. Maybe that's what this tiredness is trying to teach you, that it's time to come home, to unlearn the performance, to put down the weight of being who everyone needs you to be, to choose slowness, softness, stillness, even if just for a few minutes a day. Not because the world gives you permission, but because your soul is finally asking for it. And maybe healing won't look like fireworks. Maybe it will look like drinking water without rushing, like sitting in silence without checking your phone, like saying no without guilt, like crying in the shower without needing a reason, like remembering how to breathe without controlling the rhythm. These moments won't go viral, but they will save you. Because burnout isn't just a product of working too much. It's the cost of not living enough, of walking away from yourself every day, of putting your truth on mute because it didn't fit the timeline, the career, the relationship, the version of success that looked good on paper but felt hollow in your chest. You are tired because you've been betraying your own rhythm. It's time to forgive yourself, not for failing, but for surviving in a world that never asked how you were really doing. For making it this far without ever being taught how to rest, for carrying the weight of emotions you were never allowed to feel out loud, for being strong when you really just needed someone to say, you don't have to be. So if no one's told you today, you're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to not have it all figured out. You're allowed to rest without earning it. You are not a machine. You are a human being, aching for wholeness. This world will always ask for more output. more smiles, more energy, more availability. And the more you give, the more it expects, until you forget where the world ends and where you begin. Until your worth feels measured by how much you produce, how little you complain, how quickly you recover. But deep rest is resistance. Saying no is a sacred act. Disconnecting is not disappearing, it's realigning. Every time you choose to honor your limits, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Every time you stop pretending you're okay when you're not, you invite the truth to breathe again. This exhaustion, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's your body's last language. It's what speaks when everything else has been silenced. And if you listen, truly listen, you'll realize something important. You were never meant to carry so much. You were just taught that love equals sacrifice, that strength equals silence, that worth equals performance. But none of that was true. Your value was never based on how useful you are. You are not here to be useful. You are here to be whole, to feel fully, to fall deeply, to rest entirely, to be a human being, not a human doing. And right now, that means letting go of the guilt for being tired, letting go of the shame for needing space, letting go of the pressure to be on all the time. You don't need anyone's permission to rest. You don't need a diagnosis, a breakdown, or a dramatic excuse. You are allowed to simply say, I need time, not forever, not to quit, just to breathe, to listen, to remember who you are underneath the noise. And if that means disappearing for a while, so be it. Let the world keep spinning. Let the deadlines pile up. Let the others run. This moment, this pause, is sacred. It's the beginning of your return. Because burnout doesn't just ask you to stop. It asks you to become someone else. Someone slower, softer. Someone who no longer runs on guilt or caffeine or the approval of people who never really saw you. And that change is terrifying, because it means letting go of everything that made you survive, even if it also made you sick. It means grieving the version of you that held it all together, the version that always smiled, always fixed, always said yes. That version was brave. But now, you're being called to be honest instead. Honest about your limits. Honest about your needs. Honest about how much it hurt to pretend for so long. And honesty, when whispered in the dark, becomes healing. You are not just tired, you are awakening. To the parts of yourself you've ignored. To the dreams you thought were dead. To the emotions you buried so deep you forgot their names. And as uncomfortable as it feels, this is the path back to life. Not the life you were told to build, but the one your soul always whispered about in quiet moments. Maybe this is where healing begins. Not in a breakthrough moment, not in a sudden transformation, but in this quiet surrender, in the silence between breaths, in the simple act of admitting that you're exhausted, not just from life, but from who you've had to be in order to survive it. And maybe you're ready to stop surviving, not by giving up, but by giving in, to rest, to softness, to a life that doesn't require constant performance. You're allowed to take off the armor. You're allowed to stop managing everyone's expectations. You're allowed to sit with yourself in stillness, even if you don't have the words yet for what you're feeling. You don't have to explain your exhaustion to anyone. You don't owe anyone a reason for your silence, your distance, your need for space. You don't have to justify your boundaries, or your slowness, or your grief. You are allowed to exist without performance, to rest without guilt, to feel without permission. To be without becoming. Because healing is not always beautiful. It's not always light and clarity and revelation. Sometimes it's heavy. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it looks like sleeping for hours and avoiding texts and crying over things that don't make sense. Sometimes it looks like nothing at all, like stillness, like a breath, like surviving another day without falling apart. And that too is sacred. You are sacred, even in your mess, even in your emptiness, even in your silence. Maybe you've spent so long running from your own feelings that now they feel like strangers, unfamiliar, overwhelming, loud in ways you never learned to manage. But they are not your enemies. They are messengers. They are reminders. They are the parts of you that stayed alive, even when you were too tired to notice. And now, they're asking to be heard, not judged, not fixed, just heard. The ache in your chest, the pressure behind your eyes, the numbness in your routine. These are not signs of failure. They are signs of accumulation, of things left unsaid, of parts of yourself left unloved, of years spent performing strength while quietly praying for softness. You are not broken. You are overwhelmed by years of being the responsible one, the strong one, the one who never let anyone down, except yourself. You've been tired because you've been carrying everything for everyone for too long, and you forgot that you're allowed to put it down. Even if just for a moment, even if no one else understands. This is your moment to stop fixing, to stop chasing, to stop pretending, to sit with your exhaustion like an old friend, to ask it gently, what have you been trying to tell me? And then, to listen, because the answer is never do more. The answer is always come back, back to your breath, back to your body, back to the version of you that doesn't need to prove anything to be worthy of peace. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to return, slowly, gently, patiently, to the person you were before the noise, before the pressure, before the expectations wrapped themselves around your neck like invisible chains and taught you that being tired meant being weak. But what if the opposite is true? What if your exhaustion is your wisdom? What if this tiredness is your soul's way of telling you it's time, not to hustle but to soften, not to rise but to root, not to escape but to feel, fully, honestly, unapologetically? You are not here to be perfect. You are not here to keep up. You are not here to be impressive. You are here to feel, to notice the stillness between thoughts, to breathe through the ache without rushing to erase it. To let your own presence be enough, even when the world asks for more. And maybe that's what true rest really is. Not sleep, not vacation, but the moment when you stop abandoning yourself, when you stop negotiating your value with people who never bothered to see your depth, when you stop expecting your worth to be measured by how much you endure. True rest is return to softness, to slowness, to truth, and in that space, even if everything else remains chaotic, you'll find a quiet strength. The kind that doesn't need to shout. The kind that simply stays, that breathes, that whispers, I'm still here. If you're still here, still listening, it means something inside you still believes in rest, in healing, in the quiet possibility that things can feel different, not all at once, not in some magical moment, but little by little, breath by breath, in the sacred act of coming home to yourself. You don't need to explain your fatigue. You don't need to justify why you feel disconnected, lost, or numb. This world has asked too much of you for too long, and still, you stayed. Still, you tried. Still, you kept showing up, even when everything inside you was unraveling. That is not weakness. That is resilience. And now, it's time to use that resilience not to survive, but to heal. Start small. Drink water and mean it. Stretch your body and mean it. Say no and mean it. Say yes to yourself, even if it's just for 5 minutes. That's how you come back. That's how you slowly rebuild a life that doesn't exhaust you. And when it gets quiet again, when the heaviness returns, don't panic. Don't judge. Just listen. Let your tiredness be a signal, not a sentence. Let it guide you back to truth, back to rest, back to presence. You were never behind. You were just waiting for this moment, the one where you finally stop running and let the silence speak. We'll be here, every night, every whisper, every breath. You are not alone anymore. This is Silent Pivot. Subscribe, breathe, and come back anytime.